Once upon a time, there was a church that hosted an annual awards dinner to celebrate all of the accomplishments by the members of their community. It was a lovely evening with a plated dinner and candles and live music performed by a local high school jazz ensemble. The clerk of the Council of Elders served as the MC for the evening each year. It was a tradition that began way back when the esteemed Joe Bob successfully made his case that holding such a prestigious honor as clerk of the council is what rightly entitled him to have the privilege of being in the annual spotlight at the awards banquet. The categories of the awards that were given out that night were things like Most Outstanding Committee Accomplishment. Now, that was usually the committee that not only set their 3 goals for the program year, but completed those goals with noticeable joy. There were awards like Most Funds Raised. That usually went to the youth group. Most Attendees in Sunday School. That was usually the seniors' Bible study. Most Impact in Service to Others. And that was usually the homeless ministry. Now, say what you will about a church granting awards to members of their community on an annual basis, but this awards banquet was a highly anticipated time of the year to bring the congregation together, to don their laurels and to pat each other on the back. Award recipients would high-five each other as they made their collective way to the stage to receive a paper certificate documenting their accomplishment, which would then be framed and hung in the narthex outside of the sanctuary. But unfortunately, something happened over the years, and the awards banquet became more garish, and the competition for the awards became more political, where people were jockeying for favors to get their votes. Those members who were seated at the table of the senior pastor were considered to be the highly favored guest of honor. And rumor had it that those guests at the pastor table were the top financial givers of the church, even if they never attended worship on a regular basis. It was even the nature of the awards that were given out that had changed over the course of time. These awards evolved from group awards and group accomplishments to individual awards, like Most Outstanding Sunday School Teacher, Most Outstanding Flower Bed, Most Outstanding New Member Recruiter, Most Outstanding Public Prayer Leader, Most Outstanding Financial Giver, Most Outstanding Comfort Giver in Times of Crisis, Most Outstanding Sunday Morning Dress Attire, Most Outstanding Singing Voice in the Choir, but not to be confused with the award that went out to Most Outstanding Singing Voice in the Pews. There was the Most Outstanding Money Counter awarded to the ones who would count the offering at the end of each week. Gone were the paper certificates and the group high fives. They had been replaced with glass awards that had their names etched in them. And then there were the individual acceptance speeches along with the standing ovations. Award recipients would posture their trophies in highly visible places of honor in their homes so that they would be sure to be seen by others when they came for a visit. But chief among all of the awards given at the annual banquet, the highest award sought every year was the coveted honor of the Most Outstanding in Humility Award. This was the award given to the person who demonstrated that they were the more adherent to religious practices in daily life more so than anyone else. This person had the highest worship attendance, usually sitting in the front pew as to be seen each Sunday in case there was to be a clerical error with the registry of attendance. This award recipient had the honor of having the highest Sunday school attendance. They participated in nearly all of the mission activities. They sat on the council of elders with great esteem. They're the ones who always made the biggest financial donations based on their income. And they most graciously opened their homes to the members of the church, well, at least the most influential members of the church, who would see the gesture of the open house as a humble act of hospitality. Not to mention that their mantle was full of the church awards that had been given to them throughout the years. And this person, the recipient of this award, was always the one who cried the highest number of tears, sentimental tears at funerals. The competition for this award was stiff, especially since, in addition to the oversized glass award, the honor came with a special stole that the recipient got to wear each Sunday that said, "Most humble." The moment everyone had been waiting for at this year's Black Tie Award banquet had arrived, and as the jazz ensemble drummer rolled the drum, the clerk opened up the envelope to read that the recipient of this year's Most Humble Award was Pastor Josh. Woo! Yay! Stunned in a moment, Pastor Josh had an out-of-body experience, and it like time had stood still, and he thought to himself, well, yeah, why not me? I never miss worship. Everyone loves me. My Sunday school class is one of the most highest attended, and I'm always impeccably dressed on Sunday mornings, especially ever since we started broadcasting the worship live on the web. I'm always the first to cry at funerals, and well, I am just better and more biblically literate than everyone else, and I am more religious than any of these sinners here because, after all, they called me to be the very defining model of religious purity and righteousness. They put me in the highest seat of honor every single Sunday here on the stage of the sanctuary. And everyone, week after week, hangs on my every word. So why not me? That makes perfect sense. They love me, and I guess I truly am the most humble this year. And so Pastor Josh rose from his seat at the high giver's table, and with the roar of the audience behind him and standing ovation, the youth elder who was managing the spotlight focused in on him just as he turned and gave a wink to the people and mouthed, I know. Thank you. He jumped up on the stage and gave another wave to his adoring fans before giving them a bow like a great performer having just given a concert at Carnegie Hall. He approached the clerk and he vigorously shook the clerk's hand, who, because of the very difference in their height, the clerk asked the most humble pastor to kneel so that he could coordinate him with the most humble stole. And the pastor took a knee as the stole was placed on his shoulders. But as he rose to his feet, having had that most humble award placed upon him, as he rose to his feet, there was an audible gasp from the audience. These fine church-going members with their black ties and ball gowns had a shocking moment of clarity. Elder Sally Mae nearly fainted at the sight. Deacon Dan's head nearly exploded when he saw what he saw. Mr. Michaels, the most outstanding music minister, uttered unholy words when he realized what he was witnessing. As the pastor rose from being coronated with the most humble stole, as he rose with pride and his chest being puffed out, it was in that moment that the very person that they had called to be their model of Christian service and humility, the person they had called to be the guidepost pointing them to the way of Jesus the Christ, had in fact become the very reflection of arrogance and egotism, counter to everything that he had been teaching them from the Bible, from the gospel, and his most excellent sermons and outstanding Sunday school lessons. They came to realize what a hypocrite. It was not lost on them that they themselves had for years been swept up in false humility and vainglory acts of charity. But even more discouraging, they had hired a pastor to foster this kind of community instead of hiring a pastor that promoted and taught the values and the virtues of servant leadership. Servant leadership that is in alignment and in accord with the teachings of Jesus the Christ. And so there that evening in the awards banquet, in a seismic moment of aghast, the members, they swarmed the stage, knocking over those crystal glasses of sparkling grape juice. And as they stripped the pastor of that most humble stole from his shoulders, they shred it to pieces and they threw it away. And there in that moment, they fired their pastor. It was the beginning of a new chapter in their story. A chapter that encouraged and promoted servant leadership. Our gospel reading is from the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 23, verses 1 through 12. I'm reading from the Common English Bible. Then Jesus spoke to the crowds and his disciples. The legal experts and the Pharisees sit on Moses' seat. Therefore, you must take care to do everything they say, but don't do what they do. For they tie together heavy packs that are impossible to carry. They put them on the shoulders of others, but are unwilling to lift a finger to move them. Everything they do to be noticed by others. They make extra wide prayer bands for their arms and long tassels for their clothes. They love to sit in places of honor at banquets. They love to be greeted with honor in the markets and to be addressed as rabbi. But you shouldn't call them rabbi, because you have one teacher, and all of you are brothers and sisters. Don't call anybody on earth your father, because you have one Father who is heavenly. Don't be called teacher, because Christ is your one teacher. But the one who is greatest among you will be your servant. All who lift themselves up will be brought low, but all who make themselves low will be lifted up.